Guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's taken me 2 hours to get this front and rear drive shaft in through no fault of my own. Good morning, ladies and gents. Didn't make a lot of progress on the K10 yesterday, but that's because we went and did something else. We went out for a nice little hour-long drive and picked up, this part of it, this beautiful C10 on another no-limit chassis. This thing is painted Nardo green. It's a step side, but it needs to be put together. No interior. Not even any door latches or anything. No bed, floor, anyways. But it came with this LS6, which supposedly has LS7 springs and cam. It's a brand spanking new crate motor. And a Tremor T5 transmission. So, stick shift. So we got to decide if we're going to use, it's got like everything. It's got the wiring, it's got a harness from PSI, it's got the computer, it's got everything to make this work. But we don't know if we want to do that or if we want to do an automatic and 6.2 or something. We're going to talk to our Barrett Jackson rep, because this will be a Barrett Jackson truck for sure, and see if how standards are doing. We don't really see many stick shift vehicles go across for what we build, our style of vehicles. We don't know if they do well at all, but if they do well, yeah, we'll do a stick shift. If not, she'll get an automatic. But the truck, the interior is almost fully wired. I'm finishing up a bunch of stuff now, little odds and ends, like my ignition power wire for the Sniper. Gauges are 100% wired in. HVAC is now 100% wired in. I went and did that yesterday after we got back. I think got back about 2 o'clock. Factory external harness, like I said. I need to get the junction block for up on the firewall. We're going to reuse that. Unless we have it somewhere in one of these cases. I haven't even looked yet. But the fan is in and working. I've got my whole setup on here for the what do you call it, AC. So with vintage air, you use a regular 4-pole or 4-pin relay, and the orange wire off of the Sniper, which is the idle upkick when your AC comes on, needs to see a switched ground. So that's easy. You have a switched ground on that relay. This setup, you don't, because this is old, ancient stuff. So power comes out of the switch, goes down for AC anyways. Fan still uses a relay, power does not. Power comes out of the switch, goes down, goes into this, which is your temperature cutoff basically. So if your evaporator core gets too cold, it opens up so you don't keep freezing it. Then it goes into your low pressure switch that's going to go here. So the way that brings power directly through that green wire to your compressor, and then there's a ground eyelet that just grounds to any one of these bolts. So you're giving power to the compressor directly from the switch. There is no relay, so there's nowhere for me to get a ground input. So what you have to do is take another relay, which I mounted here, and on the side of the pressure switch that goes to the compressor, not the one that's powered the second the AC comes on, because you only want the idle upkick when the compressor is on. So the side of the AC compressor switch, low pressure switch that goes there, you wire that in so that when that comes on, that triggers this relay, which gives a ground, which is this ground wire right here. This is my wire off the Sniper. So big long description, but I basically made my own ground relay. I looked everywhere to see how to do these, because Everybody just wires up the AC IAC kick and then the high RPM switch that turns that off. When if you're 6,000 RPM turns off the AC compressor. Nobody really has a good diagram of how to do the IAC kick to a compressor that's positive fed with no relay. So I am going to do a how-to video on that eventually. But for today, we're going to get this inner fender well in so I can figure out my real estate, mount my junction block for all my power here because the battery's going in the stock location over here, and then I can finish run my battery wire, which this goes directly to battery power, I believe. So my ignition feed is going to the coil on the HEI distributor, and this purple is my starter feed. I believe I'm going to run just this one forward. These two I think I'm going to run directly that way because one's going right to that and the other one I can go right down to the starter. So I think that's going to be my cleanest way to do that. And then I'm going to finish bolt in the HVAC head, as well as, where is it? Here we go. I've got the whole vacuum harness side for all the vacuum actuated stuff. So that I got to lay in there, and I think the only thing we're missing for that vacuum actuating assembly, vacuum tube assembly, is if you know these old trucks, there's always a what do you call it, vent, fresh air vent. This is your recirculation vent right here, and that's the only thing we don't have. We have one, it's just not here. So I'm going to get started on laying out the vacuum hoses, at least after I check my email, after I have some coffee, and then I don't know what else. I'll check my financials, my stocks and stuff. But then we'll get going on this, and today I'm going to get the coolant temp sensor in the head too. I need to go, like I said, I need to go get a 1/2 inch NPT to 3/8 NPT reducer to go into the head there. And I can start doing some stuff like running vacuum lines to my distributor, the vacuum feed for everything inside, and the vacuum solenoid down on the transmission. One other thing we do have to do is I have to take this valve cover off and flip it around, because as you can see, my PCV valve is back there. This is what's going to be feeding my PCV valve. So instead of running a hose that way and going that way, I'm just going to flip the valve cover, and we'll just have one small section of straight hose going this way. And then I have to look and see if we have something for throttle linkage as well. All right, that's enough rambling for this morning. So let me get started. All right, so I've got my junction cleaned up, mounted. That power line is the main battery power line that will be run over to my main junction block that's going to be down over here. I've got my coil ignition power made. This is my starter wire. It's going to go down to my starter. This is the fuel pump wire off of the relay system for the sniper. I've got to wrap that and bring that down there. I have most of my vacuum system taken care of, so I'm going to start making vacuum lines up here out of the back of the carb for the brake booster, and then a tee off of the 3/16 line that goes to the vacuum advance, goes down to the transmission accumulator valve thingamajiggy, and one will come over here and supply vacuum to my vacuum canister. I also have to get a check valve for the vacuum canister one. I have my AC lines, my rubber hoses all run, vacuum hoses, with the exception of this one, which I've got to find the vent, because I believe this is with the vent. And then there's also the one that mounts down in here that this line goes to, and I have to find that. Other than that, all the lines are hooked up. My hot-cold slider works. I gotta grease it a little bit. My fan speed works. One thing I will tell you on these trucks, that even if you have it completely shut off, on a factory setup, this fan will always run on low speed, and they did that for fresh air recirculation. So don't get freaked out thinking something is shorted, even if you have it completely off, because that's just the way these trucks were designed. That's how that was back in the day. Now, what can I do? I think I'm gonna start fitting in my ducting and see how that all fits. And after that, I believe we are ready to see. The radio's not here yet. I would love to put the headlight switch in, but we're still waiting for our whole IPC panel, you know, beauty panel trim. So yeah, let me see where I can go from here then and start moving. We are going to put the inner fender well on today, so I can mock up where the battery's going to go and where my junction block is going to go. Alright, so we're moving right along. You'll notice the IPC is not in there anymore. I'll get to that in a second. We've got the inner fender well on this side on, because I wanted to get this in here so I could make sure I had enough clearance for my wiring that's down here. And we mocked up where the battery tray is going to go right here, the battery facing this way. I'm going to put my distribution, main power distribution, right down over here, and that gives me a good straight shot. Thankfully, the starter and the alternator are on the same side on this, so I can run right off of those two tabs right to each of those, and then bring over my main power wire to the other terminal down here. The sniper is off, so I could not get the sniper to power on, and after doing some testing, determined the sniper is no good, and I'll show you. So the boss man thought this was a brand new sniper in box. We've got so many boxes laying around here, we aren't really sure. The only way for this to really get stuck on here, this is just your base plate gasket, is to be fully clamped on and to go through at least one heat cycle. So this is not a new unit. We think this might be one of the bad units we had with the, I believe it's the 67 Chevelle, the blue one that we upgraded to a Sniper 2, which means we are upgrading this to a Sniper 2. Now, two big pains in the asses with that is, one, our wiring harness is different, but there's a solution, we'll get to that. Two is I have to remove our BIM module for the Holly system and do it, or for the Sniper, and do it for the Sniper 2. They are two different setups, because you have a round screw-on coaxial cable for the Sniper 2 now, and the old Sniper was just the plug-in regular flat 4-pin handheld. Not a big deal on the BIM. It's the same exact one we just did on the Camaro. The only thing that sucks is I had to pull the IPC back out and pull that wiring back out. What I did find was, if you are going from a Sniper 1 to a Sniper 2, I was scrolling through pictures to see, because I also found out there's multiple different main harnesses for the Sniper 2, depending on whether or not you are using the PDM module or not. If you are not using the PDM module, you get a big 14 gauge fuel pump wire and a relay and fuse. If you are using the PDM module, they give you a harness that has no relay, and you only get a 20 gauge fuel pump because it's only used as a trigger. So that I did not know. They're two different harnesses. I saw that by looking it up. But then I saw this one with this right here. And so what I did was go to that. This is a Sniper 1 to Sniper 2 jumper harness. So I do not have to redo all the wiring. It's part number 558-489. So if you have a Sniper 1 on your vehicle and you want to upgrade to the Sniper 2, or you have a malfunction like we did, and they are no longer making the original Sniper. Everything is replaced with the Sniper 2. But you don't want to have to rewire everything you already wired, because I have this in here pretty decently. You can get this adapter harness. So it's plug and play. Plugs into your Sniper 1 harness and then plugs into your Sniper 2. So that's awesome. So that saves a bunch of time. I don't have to redo, because those are drilled and nut-certed into the evaporator case, and I really did not want to have to redo that because they're in a completely different location on the Sniper 2 harness. But now we can just use that jumper harness. It's mint. The only drawback is Sniper 2, as you know, does not come with an internal fuel pressure regulator, so we'll just have to put a firewall mounted fuel pressure regulator up there instead. Alright, so time consuming day. Not a ton accomplished, but some good headway. We had to diagnose the fact that this Sniper 1 was junk. Everything is done with the HVAC, with the exception of my low temperature switch. Also, I do have everything run for the vacuum system, as you saw, except for that fresh air vent down here. Can't test any of that out until I have a vacuum source. Don't have my vacuum gun, whatever, tester here. We did get the alternator wire done, going from there up to the alternator. I did get a ground wire from the block to the frame. Once this fender goes on and the battery's in, we're going to do from the battery to the body, and then under the car we're going to do truck. We're going to do from the frame to the body, probably one of the seat bolts, so that I have grounds galore. Cleaned up some more of this wiring and stuff. I kind of wish I could just get rid of that whole factory harness up there, but it is what it is. And like I said, this one's not a showstopper build. It's just a good, clean, daily driver build. What I did get done inside was my courtesy light circuit. So I got a shitty ground over here. We do still need the door pin switches, but there and there and there, we're all lit. And I have, this is my illumination wire, so we're gonna put that into some battery power here. So I have illumination, and then this one right here will go into the wiper switch once I either find the one that's here somewhere or we get a new one, which I think we're just getting a new one. What else? Did I do anything else today? It was just a ton of cleanup and stuff. So I think what's going to happen is tomorrow I'm going to get on putting in the front and rear drive shafts. Do I don't know if I have enough fuel line. Actually, I'm not going to do fuel line yet because it's changed from internal regulator to an external regulator with a Sniper 2. So we're not going to do fuel line yet. I could probably do fuel line as far as the pre-filter, pump, and post-filter, and then just wait. I did do some cleanup on this stuff. Gave it some trim black on where you see from about here down. We're waiting for the new seal to seal that to the airbox, and new foam on this side to seal that to the other section. Other than that, I'm not going to make my battery cable to the starter till I get the starter I want in this, because as you remember, that starter is kind of iffy. And once this inner fender is in, I can start running all this stuff roughly to where it's going to go. I am on this truck doing the brake switch light that goes to the pressure sensor, basically, that comes off of your distribution block, and I am wiring it into the switch on the emergency brake. So if we have low brake pressure or if your e-brake is on, the dash is going to tell you, just like factory, only this is with Dakota Digital. I decided we're going to do all that stuff, and I'm going to start doing all that stuff. But that's it for today. I think I want Taco Bell on a Thursday. I think that's going to be the plan. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good morning. Next day. So we've got our weather strip in for the main piece of HVAC here. We've got a new tube. So this attaches from that side, which is that round part right there, and goes to the far side dash vent. and that far side dash vent is actually bolts into the dash pad itself. We also have a new dash pad coming. So I'm going to get what I can get in of my HVAC piping. I obviously can't put the one in that goes this way here because it goes below the steering column, and we don't have a steering column back in yet. And then I'm going to work on what I can work on. And I think we might be at a standstill with this. So that means I'll have to move this truck, which doesn't move. We're gonna have to push it. Get the Camaro out. We're gonna see if we can get Noah to get the transmission tunnel in this today, actually, because then I can at least lay the rug in, or do the matting and then lay the rug in. But we gotta get started on this 92 Chevy, which is getting Sniper 2, Hyperspark, in-tank fuel pump, rear disc conversion, and I forget what else. Guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's taken me 2 hours to get this front and rear drive shaft in through no fault of my own. So the first problem I ran into was none of the U-joints were correct, and I thought we had a big major issue going on. So this front and rear drive shaft are both slip yoke style. So the yoke for the rear shaft was put on the front and vice versa. And then I had to go and find all my hardware. You know, there's a U-joint strap over there, one over there, bolts wherever the heck they wanted to go. We had a guy, been here for a bit, who, if the choice came up between how do I do this correctly and how do I do this fast, correctly lost out every time. And we also had a guy, same guy, who, if the choice came up between doing something the easy way that looked ugly, or the correct way that looked good, or the organized way, you can guess which way was getting picked. That era has ended, and I am slowly reorganizing the shop. If you know me, you know clutter and mess and disorganization are my kryptonites. I will be the first to admit that sometimes my house is not the cleanest and most organized, but my workspace always is. There's no reason to have a dirty workspace. All right, I gotta rotate this, but all right, these are the last two straps and then we're done with this. All right, well, short video, not much progress today. We got the wiper switch in, got some of the HVAC ducting in, ready to go. Finished wired what I needed to for my ignition powers for the Sniper inside. What did I do? Drive shafts are in. I did do the outside door handles too. I had to modify the crap out of them to get them to work good. I don't know what the deal was. The mechanism was hitting inside the door, so you'd only get about half throw. But they're good to go now. I think that's about it. It's Friday. I'm going home. So, like I said, short one. We'll have some good progress coming next week, because we're supposed to have a bunch of parts come in. And we'll get going on these other two projects I got, and another one that's coming in. And we kind of got a semi-game plan for that raggedy square body that's over there. And the bed might be fully painted come Monday too. We'll have to see. And that's it. I will talk to you guys in the next video.